It's taken us up until match number 62, but we finally get a cue. Gujarat Titans become the first team to qualify for the IPL 2023 playoffs, just like they did in their inaugural campaign in 2022. They do so with a comprehensive 34-run victory over Sunrisers Hyderabad, a result that also means the end of Hyderabad's very slim chances of having stayed alive in the competition. Welcome to Visit Saudi presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout in the company of Bishop and Amol Muzumdar. My cues are more around Sunrisers Hyderabad for now, because that final scoreline looks a lot less embarrassing thanks to Heinrich Klaasen's effort, which in a way, Amol, is an apt reflection, an apt summary of their batting season.
Absolutely, I feel. The innings just didn't get going. I think Mohammad Shami with the new ball was terrific again. You know, just the I don't know, Vish will elaborate it more, but you know, it just hits those lengths where you're uncertain as a batter, and you know whether to go forward or back, just that right kind of length, at a brisk pace, and you know you're always searching for that delivery, that loose delivery from Mohammad Shami, and he just makes the life difficult, especially under lights at Narendra Modi Stadium.
Yes, we did think that. We were wondering how that end of the Gujarat innings, what that would mean, how much of a chance that would leave Sunrisers with in this game. But Shami, not for the first time and maybe not for the last this season, absolutely grabbing a game by the neck in the power play itself.
Yeah, what's he gone to now? 16 wickets in
15 power play wickets.
15 power play wickets. And it tells you the value of wickets up front versus wickets at the back end. You look at Bhuvi, and no fault of Bhuvi's. Bhuvi was excellent, but 4 wickets at the back end. But Shami bowled a test length, test line and length very well, which is what Siraj, when Siraj has been at his best this season, is able to bowl tight on the off stump and a little bit of away movement from that brilliant seam position at good pace. He seems to hustle off the wicket more than a lot of guys. So great credit. He broke the back of that run chase up front, and is just an outstanding bowler, particularly in the last 3-4 seasons.
Yes, that also makes it 15 wickets in 7 home games for Shami, and he knows that he'll be back for at least one more crack at this venue, depending on how Gujarat's first playoff goes in Chennai. But that start reduced Sunrisers to 12 for 3, then 29 for 4, then 59 for 7. Gives us a good chance to look back on what has been a theme. You thought at the start of the season that this was a pretty well-assembled batting lineup, but you're ending it. They go into their final match with just one Heinrich Klaasen, having crossed 300 runs, and so many question marks around almost all their batters.
You know, just a quick glance at their dugout in the end. You know, there was a shot there, and I just had a quick glance. Mayank Agarwal was sitting right behind. Hasn't featured in their 11. Anmolpreet Singh has played in the last couple. There has been a lot of chop and change, and Harry Brook, he started off with a great promise with 100, and we haven't seen him for a while. So there has been a lot of chop and change, and also Rahul Tripathi and his form has been, because they were banking on Rahul Tripathi quite a lot, and I think he's been a little bit of a disappointment this season. Of course, he can bounce back. He's got that ability to do that, but you know, for the moment, he's struggling to perform.
Yes, let's break it down block by block. They punted big on those two names, Mayank Agarwal and Harry Brook, who were acquired for a combined sum of 21.5 crore, which also came with reasoning that you have seen ability and class. Would there have been merit in sticking with that class? Because by the end of this, we've seen them field a lot of domestic batters who don't come in with a lot of experience.
Yeah, Mayank was a little bit up and down the order. He started off opening, then he went down, and then he went back up. So that could have had an impact. He didn't have a great last season, so he changed franchises. And even in the time that he was there this year, his strike rate is just under 115. So he still hasn't struck his best form. Whether moving him up and down the order was the best thing, I don't know. So Harry Brook got a long run. They tried to find a better place for him when he struggled in the middle order, even though he hit that 100. So I don't know what to make of that. They made a big purchase and it hasn't yet worked out. Looking forward for the next 2 games, I would ask the question, given Heinrich Klaassen batting so well, I know he's playing marvelously against spin primarily, but could he go up to number 4 where he's batted in T20 cricket before and take more responsibility for those last 2 games? It's worth finding out because they can't qualify for the playoffs anymore. So I think that's worth finding out whether Klaassen is a better fit up there given the lack of form. Markram's not quite hit the nail on the head with his batting this season. Congrats to you as well, because before the game started, never forgot, Amol said Rahul Tripathi has an issue where he's playing, opening the face and nicking that ball off down in the corner there behind, and he did it again today. So good spot, coach's eye, and that's something that he has to work on.
Yeah, that's a 9th dismissal to pace for Rahul Tripathi. 5 of them exactly with that shot that Amol mentioned in the pre-show. And we spoke of the 2 big investments in Mayank and Brook, and then you had the 2 big, you really thought in Rahul Tripathi and Aiden Markram at 3 and 4 was the core of this batting lineup, both of whom had been part of this setup, both of whom had had an exceptional last year or so in T20 cricket. And you have to look at their returns: 258 runs in 12 innings for Tripathi, 217 and 11 for Markram, and you were never really going to go too far with your 2 main batters being so out of runs.
Completely out of runs. Mayank Agarwal 187 at a strike rate of 114. 9 games he's got. Aiden Markram, a bit of a disappointment, as Bish said that. One thing I would like to say is I agree with Ian that Henrik Klaassen can jump one number and go at number 4 and see how he fares in the next 2 games. There could be also one more change. You know, Rahul Tripathi, he had his best season with Pune Super Giants.
Right at the top?
Right at
the top.
It was Mahendra Singh Dhoni, under his captaincy, he flourished. And where did he flourish? It was right at the top, opening the innings, taking the maximum toll of power play, and he just got, he got into the limelight, and then his IPL career started. Worth a try in the next 2 games. If you're trying to build a team for next year, obviously you now there's nothing to play for. You're building a team for next year. Shift Rahul Tripathi up the order, right at the top. See how he fares in the next 2 games, and have Henrik Klaassen batting at 4.
Would be some ask predicting what the next Sunrisers lineup could be for those last 2 games. They chopped and changed so much while they were alive. You wonder what we'll see in games 13
but
and 14.
No, now they can shift their focus on next year.
Yeah.
There's nothing to play for now.
Yeah. If they're doing that, they could please get Glenn Phillips back in to finish the season. He deserves to be back in.
Yes, because you thought, like we mentioned so many times, that you had that overseas batting mix, and you had with that 4 good domestic pacers. You thought in Bhuvi and Natarajan and Umran Malik and Kartik Tyagi, you could always be playing 3 of them and then get to bat 3 of your overseas batters, and yet you go into your last, well, not your last, but your knockout game, having now fielded 2 overseas quicks and a batting mix which had only 2 of those star overseas batters and a bunch of inexperienced domestic batters, and it makes you wonder how the decision making got there.
Yeah, and let me just say, providing Glenn is fit, right? I don't know if it seemed to be a late decision, so I'm assuming that there's no injury issue there. And whenever I speak here, you know, in broadcasting, there are some of us who find it a safe haven rather than getting your hands dirty as a coach. That's not Amol. Amol has been into the coaching, so you had a dive in. So it's easier to stay here, and because we don't have accountability with a team when we sit here and we speak. So we have to be very careful, and I'm always cognizant of that. But the thinking of Sunrisers seems to have been a little bit muddled with regards to those selections and stuff. They need more stability. The guys who they're sticking with also need to give something back as a coach when you select a guy or selector. Just reward me for my selection. You know, as a player, I need to give back to show that faith in me is something. So it's a two-way street, not just sticking with a guy for sticking's sake. As a player, I have to give you something back.
Yeah, it has been a difficult campaign for Sunrisers Hyderabad. Not a lot to write home about. Let's see what they can learn from their last two games. They'll play Bangalore on Thursday and then Mumbai Indians on Sunday. They could yet spoil a few parties before they exit this competition. You mentioned accountability and muddled thinking. I will apologize for the previous show where
that was my bad.
brought about Alzari Joseph. But this game, from a Gujarat bowling perspective, was actually so much. There's Mohammad Shami, we've spoken about, but also how good was it? Let me start with Bish, because we're talking about a pacer.
Oh.
To see the return of Yash Jha.
Yeah, man. He looked broken after that Rinku Singh thing, and there was talk that he might not appear again in the season. He wasn't well for a point as well. So this is a road back for him after that issue, which mentally would have taken a toll on him. Really happy for him from what I've read about his history and stuff. Lovely guy trying to make his way in the game. So really happy for that. And, oh, Shami's the purple cap holder. Must mention that again. So you've got two guys vying for it in your team with Rashid Khan. Good on them. Can I throw something back?
Yeah, of course.
Good to see Tewatia bowling.
Yeah.
Because if they get into that the qualifier is being played in Chennai.
Yeah, the first two playoffs are in Chennai.
So you've got Rashid. Hopefully you've got Noor Ahmed.
That was a bad blow.
With that knock on the foot. But if you need a third spinner down in Chennai, you can either go Sai Kishore, who played well last year, I think, in the playoffs.
Yes.
But he hasn't played yet. And you've only got one more game to do. You bring Sai Kishore in on the premise of that next game. It might be easier now that Noor has taken that knock. So Sai could possibly be in as a replacement. So if you get to Chennai and you need three guys, you can either say, Tewatia bowl some more for me, or Sai.
Yeah. And he plays for Tamil Nadu.
Correct.
He knows the conditions perfect.
Before we look at that points table, which today has a decisive few next to it for the first time, just on how this game played out on the whole. Now, if we go back, it was 147 for 1 in 14 overs. After that, 26 overs of cricket, and you've seen, less than 200 runs for the loss of 17 wickets. So, how do we assess? Did it become a tougher pitch, or was it just not so good batting beyond the first 14 overs of the first innings?
I think a mixture of both. The last 6 overs from Gujarat Titans weren't good batting. Obviously, we mentioned about in the mid show that Shubman Gill, his strike rate dropped from 236 to 136. So there's a significant drop when he came close to a milestone. But also the finishers, the so-called finishers, Miller, Tewatia, Rashid Khan, Hardik Pandya himself. They all came. He was probably Shubman Gill was banking on these finishers to do the job, which clearly didn't happen. So it was bad batting on their behalf. But I also get a feeling, Bish, correct me if I'm wrong, that at Narendra Modi Stadium, under lights,
yes,
the ball tends to grip a little bit and just take off if you hit the seam. So the first 6 overs in the power play, especially with the new ball, it was tough ask. But the ball was moving around.
So in that context, Shubman Gill getting to 36 of 16 in Gujarat's batting power play, when both captains did make a mention, our pitch report said a mention of moisture in the wicket. Does that 36 of 16 become the most decisive batting contribution of this entire game?
It becomes very decisive. And again, but let's look at the both sides, right? And I'm not going to change my tone and say anything that I didn't say first up or that we didn't discuss first up. Sunrisers in that first 10 overs with their bowling wasn't great. And credit to Shubman that he particularly, along with Sai Sudarshan, were able to take advantage of anything that was bad. But I want to go back to my notes. I put it away, but I think around over number 7, there was something like 12 boundaries. And in addition to that, 5 wides in 7 overs. that's how prolific or proliferate the bad balls were coming to them. And that proved decisive because in the back half, Sunrisers tightened up their bowling and we saw the result of that pressure. So absolutely right. I think that, that power play batting from Shubman and that 30 odd off 7 was critical.
Yeah, it was 101 of 58 in all from Shubman Gill in Gujarat's total of 188. A 34-run win that ensures their top 2 spot. Let's take a look at that points table. Not only have they qualified, Gujarat now know that they will finish in the top 2, which means that there will be an extra bite at the cherry, that extra cushion of knowing that you can lose qualifier 1. Qualifier 1 and the eliminator, of course, taking place at Chepauk, which Bish has already mentioned, throws a different view to how those first 2 playoffs will go. And yes, of course, also curtains for Hyderabad, whose slim mathematical chances are now completely over. They can only at best reach 12 points if they win their last 2 games. It's almost scarier, isn't it, Bish, that Gujarat, not only have they qualified, but they've also got, for a team as well-rounded, that one bad game that can trouble big teams out of the way in the implosion they had against Mumbai Indians at Wankhede, where bar Rashid Khan, it was quite a forgettable night.
I'm hoping so, because I said that when Rajasthan Royals blew KKR out of the water and then they went on to do what they did in the next game. But I think this team is different, and I think you touched on the culture within that Gujarat Titans team. Hardik talks about it a lot, and so I feel good about their future going forward for another couple of games. And one guy, what's the date today? Is the 15th? We're still the 15th, and maybe we haven't gone past midnight, right?
Yeah.
At 23:40. As we sit here tonight, Mohit Sharma has got to be, as we sit here, I don't know what the next couple of games will hold with Piyush Chawla.
Yeah.
Returning of the IPL season, Mohit Sharma, 17 wickets. I mean, that really is outstanding. Very few times it looks as though anyone at the back end of the innings, when guys are going, can get hold of it.
Given everything we know about Gujarat Titans, it also, from the perspective of other teams, you probably would have really hoped that results go in a way that they somehow don't finish in the top 2, because this team, with how complete it is, to have the extra cushion in the playoffs, makes them the most dangerous bet for if you were to predict a final now.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. They've got all their bases covered. In the playing 11 and off the field as well, in the team management. Everything is covered over there. So, credit to the guys who are running it. First year could be, you can chance your arm and just go with the flow and just, go through the finals. But the second year, third year is going to be tough. We all know that. And second year, they've qualified, the first team to qualify, not even Chennai Super Kings. Chennai Super Kings had a chance yesterday, but they blew it up. So I think credit needs to go to Gujarat Titans. They've got everything up. Now, if you divide a 20-over match in 3 phases, power play, mid-overs and death overs, obvious. In their batting department, they've covered everything. In their bowling department, you see everything needs, it's all, the jigsaw puzzle is solved over there. So they become a very dangerous side going to the playoffs. Completely different side.
Yes, well done, Gujarat Titans, for the second season in a row, the first team to book their ticket to the playoffs. Who will join them there? Well, this week is still just started, and there could yet be so many twists and turns in the race to the playoffs. One vital 4-pointer coming up on Tuesday. It's Mumbai Indians versus Lucknow Super Giants in Lucknow. Teams 3 and 4. So much to play for. That's the game we'll be building up to at 7 p.m. when we return on Visit Saudi presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout. That's it from us for tonight. Do be sure to hop over to the ESPN Cricket for mobile app for all the post-match reactions, the news, the analysis. I'll say good night now to Amol Muzumdar and Ian Bishop, and that does it from us for this Monday evening. Look forward to your company on Tuesday.